Yo, what is cool, y'all? We're back. Hope that all you guys are doing well. In today's tutorial, I'll be breaking down how you can create this border mask effect, just like how they did in the Disrespectfully Scoomin' music video, which was edited by Fireboy, VFX Victor, and Dome Visuals. I'm not really sure which one of them made this part, but it's insane. But I'll be breaking it down inside of After Effects for you guys step by step, so let's jump straight into it. So I just recorded the full tutorial, and it took me like 30 minutes, and my file got corrupted, so now I gotta redo this shit. So let's just get straight into it. So I got my scene right here, and when he puts his finger up to the camera like that, I kind of want it to go into slow-mo and all the effects will pop up, and just like they did in the inspiration, I got it right here. It's in slow-mo with all these effects, so it goes faster in the beginning and then slower. So I'll be doing the exact same thing using Twixtor, which is a plugin. So I'll be adding on the Twixtor effect onto my clip. Then you have to adjust your frame rate to the same as your clip, and you do that by removing the effects controls and just check the frame rate of your clip, and mine is 29.97, so I just put my frame rate as that. So let's start off by going to the part that I want in slow-mo, which will be when his finger starts covering the camera. So yo, sorry to interrupt, I just wanted to let you guys know that I just dropped my Opium preset pack for Premiere Pro 2, and it doesn't need any paid plugins, so it's beginner friendly, and all you need to do is really download that, and then you have all of these drag and drop effects that you can drag onto your scene as easy as that. But I'll have it linked in the description for you guys, and if you're interested you can go check that out. But onto the video. So I'll add a keyframe by pressing the stopwatch right here, and then press U to see my keyframe, and then go one frame forward, and then change the speed to something around 30 or 40, and now it looks like this. So we got a clean slow-mo right here, and if you want to, you can speed up the part right here, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible because this effect is already quite difficult, so I'll keep it like this. That looks decent. So now I'll cut up that slow-mo part by pressing Ctrl+Shift+D because I want to separate this one, and I also want to pre-compose it so I can get rid of the Twixtor effect. So pre-compose it and move all attributes into the new composition, and then let's cut it up. And now the next step is to mask out his hand because we want it separated from the background, and to do that I'll be using the rotor brush tool. So select that and double click on a layer, and then start masking out his hand. I won't be going through the rotoscoping too much because it's really simple, so if you don't know how to rotoscope, there's plenty of tutorials out there, so you can watch one of them. Just try to get a clean masking of your subject. So I just finished masking out his hand, and now I'll be adding on a refined soft matte effect to our rotoscope layer, and that is just to get some cleaner edges and not make it look as rough as it is right now. So turn down the additional edge radius and turn up the feather. You don't have to copy my settings for this one, this just depends on your clip and what you're masking out, but try to get something clean like this. And now I'll duplicate my mask layer and remove all the effects from the bottom layer, and this will be our background layer. And now I'll be adding in the black bars that will be on the top and at the bottom, and to do that let's add a adjustment layer. So right click and go to new, and then create a new adjustment layer, and then I'll add on crop edges. And let's remove the right and the left one and keep the top and bottom, and then let's drag it up to somewhere around 8 or 9. I'm happy with 9, so I'll keep it at that. And then let's drag down the adjustment layer in between my background and the hand layer, and now we have the hand on top of the black bars. But I feel like it looks weird for my scene to have his hand on top of the bottom layer. I kind of just want his fingers to pop up right there. So what I'll do is duplicate this layer and then move one of them up top, and then remove the top layer from the one that's above, and now we have this. And I'm happy with that because I don't think it looks good to have the hand on top of the black bar for my scene, but as you can see in this one it looks better for him to have it on top of the black bar at the bottom. So this also depends on your clip, so you can keep it however you want. And now I'll be adding on a turbulent displace and a wave warp to kind of get this wavy feeling that you have in this clip. You can see if I play it through, it's kind of shaky but not too much, it's just this little wavy effect. Can't just add it onto an adjustment layer because that would ruin the black bars, so I have to drag it onto the hand layer and then copy it onto the background layer. So I'll add on a turbulent displace to the hand layer, and I'll turn down the size to somewhere around 50 and the amount to 30. and then keyframe the amount and go to the end and turn it down to 0. Now let's copy this effect and put it onto the background layer 2 so they can match. That way it won't look too weird and we will get this kind of wavy feeling. You can see right there, and I'll also add on a wave warp effect. And this is also to get that kind of wavy feeling. And for the wave warp, you don't want it to look goofy, so I'll turn down the height to some low number, maybe like 4, and then I'll turn up the width to 80. Let's turn the direction to 0 and the wave speed to somewhere around 0.5. And let's keyframe the phase from 0 at the beginning and then go to the end and just turn it up a bit. Let's do 20 for this one. You don't want too much of this, you kind of just want that subtle shaky feeling, and you don't want it to look like it's waves going on in the background, so that's why I keep these low numbers, and it won't be too visible later on when I add some more effects. Next up, I'll create a new adjustment layer, and this adjustment layer will have a shake, and for the shake I'll be using Sapphire Shake. So if you don't have Sapphire, you might have to go and get it because it's really an essential when it comes to music video editing. It has some really great effects and it's a paid plugin. And let's keyframe the amplitude and go a couple frames in, like 5 or 6, and turn it down to some really low number, somewhere around 0.1. And this will give a shake that looks like this. I'll turn it down even more at the end, because I kind of just want this subtle shake to keep going on throughout the clip and I don't want it to be too much. And then I'll add on a glow too, and I'll be using a deep glow, and this is also a plugin, but if you have any other glow you can use that. And the threshold I'll be turning up to somewhere around 70 and the exposure to 1.2, and then keyframe the exposure and go to the end and turn it all the way down to 0. And for the deep glow, I'll be selecting my keyframes and pressing F9 to ease my keyframes, and then just make a graph like this, just to make sure that the glow gives a little bit more in the beginning and then slows down throughout the scene. But it will slow down a little bit faster right here, as you can see. So let's turn up the glow a little bit more so you can have this fast flashy feeling. And then I'll be adding on a flicker effect, and I'll be using the Sapphire one because that's my favorite one, but you can use one of the other ones. There's so many ones available, and I won't be messing with the settings for this one because I like how it looks right off the bat. Now I'll be making a new adjustment layer because I just want things to be organized, and I'll be cutting it down like the other ones, and then add on a hotspot effect, which is also from Sapphire. And let's turn up the frequency to 0 at the beginning, and then go to the end of your scene and turn it up until you can't see anything in the scene anymore except for that light. That'll be good. So I turned it up to 0.85, and let's also keyframe the blur, so I'll turn it up to 30 at the end, and then press the stopwatch to make a keyframe, and then go like halfway through the clip and turn it back to 0. That way the blur will kind of start to come in halfway through the clip, and now it looks like this. And that's decent, but I think that the hotspot effect comes in a little bit too fast, so I'll be easing my keyframes and go to the graph editor, and I'll be using the value graph once again and drag it down right here and drag it up a little bit here, so the effect can kind of build up throughout the scene. I'll keep my graph like this because that's kind of what I prefer for my scene. And next up I'll add a tint effect, and this just makes the scene black and white, but I don't want it to be throughout the clip, so I'll keyframe the tint from 100 at the end and then go like halfway through the clip and turn it down to 0. That way we'll turn black and white towards the end, and that's what we have for now, and that looks good. But I'll be adding on one last effect, which will be a grain. I'll be adding on the add grain effect and drag it onto my adjustment layer, and let's change the viewing mode to final output and turn down the intensity to 0.6. And just like the other ones, I'll be keyframing this. So keyframe the intensity from the end at 0.6 to somewhere around the beginning and turn it back to 0. And the last thing that I'll be doing is keyframing these black bars because I kind of want them to pop up when the shade comes in. So I'll go 10 frames into my scene, which will be 2 frames into when the effect starts, and keyframe the crop edges effect, and then go to the beginning and turn it back to 0. And then I'll ease my keyframes and create a value graph that looks like this, just to make sure that it goes faster in the beginning and then slower throughout the scene, which will give a smoother kind of feeling. And then I'll copy this and then paste it onto my other adjustment layer. And now the final effect that I have is this. And that's smooth. I'm happy with how it turned out, and if you follow my steps you should also be pretty happy because this effect is crazy. So huge shout out to the VFX editors that made this effect. I'll have their Instagrams linked in the description, as well as mine and my editing assets, so if you're interested you can go and check them out. But make sure to leave a like and subscribe because it really helps out the channel so I can keep making these videos for you guys. But take care y'all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.